That all these sneakers and shoe boxes that you see beside me have all been accumulated over the course of about 2 months, as I started at the beginning of 2021, and I've just gradually been picking up on all the latest releases as they've come out. Okay, so just before I give you guys the rundown on how much I've actually made doing this side hustle, I think it would make sense for me to actually go over the method of how I actually buy and resell the sneakers, just in case any of you guys out there actually wanted to go out there and give it a go. So obviously, first things first, you are going to need to go out there and actually get hold of these sneakers in order to resell them. So the methods that I've been using are typically 3 different methods of actually getting hold of these sneakers. The first 2 being online releases and online raffles. And these 2 will be the best way of actually maximizing your profits when you do go to resell them. As for the third option, this will be going through marketplaces such as StockX, Depop and Facebook Marketplace and platforms of that nature. Going back to the first 2 methods that I mentioned, these will be your typical go-to methods, as this is where you'll be able to pick up the sneakers for your base/retail price. And then buying from marketplaces, as I mentioned in the third option, this will typically be your last option or go-to, as you will be picking these sneakers up at the resale price. So when I say online raffles and online releases, you may be thinking, what the hell am I talking about?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Well, I'll quickly give you some examples. For releases, you will need to know when a new sneaker is dropping and the release date for it. Once you know the release date and the time, you can either search around and figure out what websites are going to release the sneaker, or you can use an app or a site that will actually tell you and give you direct links to the sites that are going to drop the sneaker. I personally use the app called the Soul Supplier to check for the dates and times of the sneaker releases, but what I will do is actually pop up some more apps and sites on the screen here so you can check them out. But anyway, once you know the release date, the time and the site of where the sneaker is dropping, you will need to make yourself ready for the exact moment that the sneaker drops, because you will have tens of thousands of other people competing to pick up that drop as well. So for this method, you will need to inform yourself of the release details and act quickly on the drop. And again, I will pop up some more website links and stuff like that on the screen where you can expect to see these online releases. Now on to online raffles, which is similar to online releases in the sense that you need to know the exact details of a sneaker drop, but the only thing is it's a lot calmer and you won't need to rush around to get hold of these sneakers. All you need to do is check up on your raffles apps and sites and make sure you put yourself in for the entry well before the deadline. And then just sit back and wait till they announce the winners, and hopefully your entry will be a winner. The plus side to doing online raffles is of course the calmer approach, as you don't need to make yourself available for as of when the sneaker drops online. There's also the advantage to the online raffles where you can enter more than once, as long as you know how to create or get hold of more than one account, because of course the more entries you can do, the better chance you have of winning, which in turn obviously is more profit. Now I won't go over it now as it will take some time to explain how to do this, but if you guys did want to see how you can set up 10, 20, 30 different accounts, then let me know down below in the comments, and if the demand is there, I'll definitely make that video for you guys. Okay, lastly, the third option, which is the use of marketplaces such as StockX, Depop and Facebook Marketplace to get hold of these sneakers at a reasonable resale price. The downside to this option is of course the fact that you are buying these sneakers on these marketplaces for the current resale price. And doing this, you are basically setting yourself up to only break even if you were to immediately resell these sneakers, or perhaps only make a very small profit. But the reason I still mention this option is because you guys can still pick up these sneakers at the resale price and then use the buy and hold method. As long as you have an understanding of the market and the sneaker style that you're trying to buy, you can simply pick up multiple pairs and then treat it as an investment where you buy and hold these sneakers and wait for the demand in the market to go up, and then you simply profit on the difference. So it's a very simple method, but the only downside is that you can get caught on the other side to it, which is of course if the sneakers drop. And this could be for many reasons, but one example of this could be Adidas do a re-release of a Yeezy sneaker, and of course bringing more sneakers into the market will then obviously bring the demand down, which actually brings the price of the sneaker down. So do be careful if you try this option or method, as I personally haven't tried it yet, but if I do see the opportunity in the market, I will then do so. Right, so now you have an idea of how to actually pick up and get hold of these sneakers, you will now need to find a place where you can actually go to sell them to make your profit. Now, you can use these same marketplaces as I mentioned before, which is StockX, Depop, and Facebook Marketplace. Personally, I only use StockX and Depop as that's generally where most people will go to find these dead stock and unique sneakers as compared to Facebook Marketplace. And I mean, I shouldn't have to show you guys how to sell on these platforms as it's very easy to do. For StockX, you won't even need to take any photos of your sneaker. All you need to do is find your sneaker on their marketplace, simply input your size that you have available and your required price. And then for Depop, you will have to take some photos of your sneaker to post. You also have to add a brief description of the sneaker, so the size, perhaps where you got them from, proof of purchase and stuff like that. And then simply list the sneaker for your desired price and wait for people to contact you. So luckily I was able to sell a pair of Jordan 1 mid-bands recently on StockX. So what I'll do is roll a quick montage of me actually prepping them and having them shipped to StockX. So I'll roll that now. The only thing you will need to consider when selling on these platforms is of course the fees and the shipping costs that come along with that. You will need to factor in these percentages into the price that you list to make sure that you still come out profitable, otherwise you may find yourself selling short. So I believe StockX charge a 9.5% transaction fee, and then on top of that a 3% payment processing fee, and then again a £5 shipping fee as well. And then on the other hand we have Depop, which is a 10% transaction fee, and then again we have a 3.5% PayPal payment processing fee, and then on your own you will need to pay for shipping, which is typically around £5 to £10 on the size and weight of the sneaker. And I'm not mentioning this to put you guys off or make you think that these fees are too high. It's just to make sure that you guys are aware in case you do want to get started. Because despite the fees, you guys can still make a decent profit on certain sneakers, and I will give you an example of a pair that I recently sold on StockX. This was for a pair of Yeezys where I was able to make around £100 profit for only 10 to 20 minutes worth of my time by simply entering into a raffle, winning them, and then receiving the shoes, having them listed on StockX, and then simply taken to the post office to have them shipped out. Okay, so one last thing before I do move on and tell you guys how much I have been able to make in 2 months reselling sneakers. I should mention that there is definitely a lot more to it than simply buying the sneaker and then reselling it on and expecting a profit. You will need to understand the market, you will need to understand the sneaker and make sure that it will resell when you do go to buy it. I should mention that it's not just as simple as buying a sneaker and reselling it and expecting a profit. You will need to do some research and have a basic understanding of the sneaker that you're trying to get hold of to make sure that it will resell above the retail price that you buy it for. Otherwise you could be left with pairs that actually lose you money and go below retail price. You can do this by using StockX as a rough guide, as it will tell you the rough estimated amounts for the sneaker before the sneaker actually drops. So to give you a quick example of this, I currently have my phone pulled up with the screen for the Adidas Yeezy Boost 350 Ash Stones, which are dropping in a couple of days from now. So what I can do here is click on the size up here, and then that will give me a rough estimate of how much each size is going to cost, or resell for, sorry, when they do drop.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Or you can use some websites that will actually give you a resale price once the sneaker has dropped. So from there you can then figure out whether you're going to directly resell them as soon as you pick them up, or you could do the buy and hold strategy. The reason I wanted to mention this was because I actually fell into this trap within the first few weeks of me doing this. I managed to pick up 2 pairs of these Nike Jordan 1 Mid Hyper Reals, and unfortunately within a couple of weeks the resale price had actually dropped below the retail price, so I was actually running at a loss for these 2 pairs. But to counter this, so it doesn't seem like the end of the world, one advantage to buying sneakers is the fact that you can actually return them and have your money fully refunded to you. So while I won't make any profit, at least I won't lose out on this transaction. So as long as you figure this out within the returns period, you can't really lose out. And on that note, I think I should share some of the pros and cons to the sneaker reselling business so you guys can determine whether you want to invest your time and money into it. So first up, for the pros, we have the very basic research and understanding needed. And what I mean by that is the fact that within a week, and just by simply diving into everything, you can have the very basic fundamentals of everything and have a good general knowledge of what you should and shouldn't be buying into. And then next, I would consider it to be a safe investment whether you are reselling them or buy and hold. The advantage to buying dead stock sneakers is that you're very unlikely to lose out on any money. And even in my personal experience, I have been able to return the sneakers and get a full refund for any of the pairs that I did go wrong in buying. It's not like the stock market where you have to figure out whether you're going to ride the crash or not. You can almost pull your money out guaranteed. Next, it's fun and can be turned into a hobby. For me, I never really had much interest in the sneaker community until I did start reselling them, and now I really enjoy finding out about the new sneakers that are coming out, the history and the general culture of it. So you may find yourself in the same position where it simply starts off as a side hustle and then it gradually turns into an interest and then a hobby as well. Next up, we then have the potential to actually make a decent amount of side income. If you have spare time, this hustle could be a way of making a decent amount each month. The first month or so will all be a learning phase, but I'm sure from then on you can start to make a decent amount each month as you begin to learn the market. So now for the cons, and I will start of course with the marketplace fees and shipping costs. Now some people might not consider this to be a con, but I do. These fees from StockX and Depop really can be the deciding factor in whether you make a profit or not. So this is why I mentioned the fact that you need to do your research into sneakers before buying them to make sure the profit is there despite the shipping costs and fees. Then next up we have the delivery and shipping times. So of course you're buying these sneakers online, so you will have to deal with the processing and delivery times. Then next up we have taking L's on the releases and raffles. So you can't expect to win every raffle or release that you try to catch. So one con may be that you find yourself wasting 5 to 10 minutes and you don't win anything. So when you do begin treating this hustle more as a interest or hobby, you won't actually mind so much. So now on to the main question, which is how much have I actually made so far? Well, this is a bit of a tricky one for me to explain because it's not as simple as me showing you guys my Shopify screen or my Fiverr earnings or anything like that.
It's a big of stick on the steel.
This is because I've been selling through StockX and Depop, and unfortunately there isn't any revenue or profit screen that I can show you for these apps. But what I have done is put together a spreadsheet which tracks all these sneakers that I have bought and sold. This way I can show you my overall profit and the profit that I've made for each pair of sneakers. So now that I've opened up the spreadsheet on my laptop here, I will quickly run you guys through it. So first off, we have the list of the sneakers that I've actually purchased. So as you can see here, I've listed the date, the store in which I bought them from, the name of the sneaker, the size, the retail price that I bought them for, the shipping cost if there was any, and then we have the subtotal. Then next we have the status of the sneaker, which would tell me whether I have sold them or if I'm currently holding on to them. And then next to that, if I am holding on to them, I will list the price that they have cost me so I know how much the hold value is. And then moving on from there, we scroll down to the bottom here, and this is the total amount of all of the sneakers combined in my collection. So basically the total hold value of all the sneakers that I have in my possession at the moment. And then moving on from there, I'll slide to the right, and here we have the list of all the sneakers that I've actually already sold. And what this would do is actually show me the date in which I sold them, how much they sold for against the price in which I paid at retail, and it also lists the transaction fees, the payment fees, the shipping costs, and then it will give me my overall profit for each pair. So with all that being said, we can see here that I've only sold 4 pairs as of right now. So the first pair sold for around £30, second pair was sold for £100, third pair was sold again for around £30, and my most recent pair, which was the Jordan 1 mid-bands, which I showed you earlier on in the video being shipped off to StockX, they only sold for around £13.50, so not a great profit. So my overall profit so far is £176.28, and again the reason for this is because I've only been into it for around 2 months. I'm still trying to learn the basic fundamentals to everything and understand the market, so I will expect this number to start to increase within the next 3 to 4 months. So now you guys know how my sneaker reselling hustle has been going so far, and obviously I'm only doing this a few days a week for only around 10 to 20 minutes a day, and I'm doing this by entering into raffles or trying to grab them on the online release. So comparing the time that I've actually put into this hustle so far versus the amount that I've made, it isn't actually too bad, but I know if I do continue I definitely will learn better ways and more efficient ways of getting hold of these sneakers, which will in turn make me more profit. But for now I'm going to be treating this more as a hobby than a hustle, because I do really enjoy picking up some of these sneakers, and I do think it would be cool to actually grow a collection. And I have to say the Jordan 1 highs are definitely my favourite sneakers at the moment, so it would be cool to grow a collection. And I mean, if need be in the future, in like a year's time or 2 years time, and they all increase in value, I can then obviously sell that whole collection for a profit. And anyway, I think I've covered enough in this video for the time being, so please make sure to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to the channel if you wish to see more videos like this. So that's all for now. I will see you in the next one, and bye for now.